Are you ready to break through any barrier or limiting belief holding you back? Ready to embrace your full potential and achieve your greatest success? Ready to get noticed and become the champion you were born to be? Then buckle up, because you've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to the Warrior Confidence Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Master Rich Grogan, and I am truly blessed and grateful you're here today. Man, we got a show for you today. Now, those are the regular listeners. I know we've had a little bit of time off. We've been revamping some things. The back wall is done and kind of redone again and again. And our focus is all about, it's always been the same, I guess, the overall message about self-empowerment, leadership, being a mentor, getting what you want most. But to get those things, you have to be resilient. You have to put in the hard work. You can't give up, regardless how many times you've been knocked down, how many times you've been hit with a right hook of reality or left uppercut of truth. You're getting your butt back up and you're fighting another round. You're doing the things that so few were willing to do. That's why you are going to be successful. That's why you are going to accomplish things that others just hope, dream, and wish for. Why? Because you're willing to put in the work. Well, this is episode number 372. Woohoo! Good stuff. And I titled this one, Freedom from Doubt, Unleashing Your Inner Champion. And the first point I want to talk about is we're going to identify what some of those self-doubts and limiting beliefs are. What are they? Well, they're unique to all of us. It's whatever we feel kind of down deep in our soul that holds us back. Maybe it's something that it's not maybe. It's something that we know about ourselves that maybe nobody else knows. Yeah, for me personally, the list goes on and on. I was never very good at spelling. Yeah, it was one of those things. So it always scared me to death anytime I had to do a spelling test. And truth be told, speaking of tests, I was never very good at taking tests, period. As you probably can tell from all the energy and hyperactivity, I was a pretty hyperactive kid, although they never had that diagnosis back in the 70s or 80s. It was just always, Richie, sit down and shut up. Richie, why can't you calm down? Richie, what is your problem? And Richie, me, bouncing off the walls, just endless energy. Matter of fact, punishment for me, well, nowadays it's like you almost got to force your kids to get outside, right? Well, punishment for me was having to come inside. Oh my gosh. And I goofed up a lot as a kid. I never really disrespectful or rude, but I had a hard time focusing and my mind was all over the place. So I'd rather take a butt whipping than have to sit in time out or sit in my room. It's like, oh, just whoop me. Let me go back outside and get back at it again. That was, that's kind of, I don't know. That was my thing, because having to sit in my room, that was torture. But anyway, some of the self-doubts and limiting beliefs, as I mentioned, test taking was one of them. But also, I failed a lot. I really did. I was always, if not one of the smallest, shortest guys on every athletic team. It didn't matter if it was baseball, football, or hockey, or in martial arts. I was always one of the smallest. And I was often overlooked. Or, I've heard this so much, I still hear it in my sleep sometimes. Richie, you're just not big enough. Richie, you're just not good enough. Richie, you're just not strong enough. Richie, you're just not tall enough. Richie, you're just not smart enough. Richie, you're probably not going to make it in the world. Woo! What the heck does that mean? Well, when you plant that much negative garbage in your mental garden, and you think about a garden, and I've talked about this at end on other podcasts, what you plant in a garden is going to grow. If you want strawberries, which I love strawberries, you got to plant strawberry seeds in order to get the strawberry root tree in order to produce those beautiful, luscious, succulent strawberries. If you plant onion seeds, you're getting onions, man. That's all there is to it. Well, the same thing. You plant all that self-doubt, limiting beliefs, all that, I can't. I'm not good enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not smart enough. Maybe they're right. You plant all that garbage in your mental garden, that's what you're going to get. And you're going to start believing it. That's just the reality of things. So we have to really look and identify. That means get down to the core of things. Where did these limiting beliefs, where did this self-doubt come from? And for most of us, it was our childhood, right? At that early stage when we're first learning and growing and our minds are expanding, if we're told, we can't enough, or we're not big enough, or we're too dumb or too stupid, that's some baggage that's hard to overcome. It really, really is. Now, I am not one for false praise. but I am one for future planning. So what I mean by that is telling your kids or telling yourself that I am a champion, I am a hero, I am a leader, I will overcome, I will battle through, I will succeed. That's prepping yourself up. You're not lying to yourself, because what you're doing is you're planting seeds in your mind that I will be someday, because I am willing to put in the work. I'm willing to do what needs to be done. And that's the same thing we need to tell our kids and our athletes that we work with. And of course, we got to tell ourselves. Because if you are the mentor and leader that I know you were born to be, you got to believe in yourself. Because without belief in yourself, you can't expect anyone else to believe in you. Parents, are you frustrated seeing your superstars sit on the bench, getting overlooked and passed over for ice time and leadership roles? I personally know that heartbreak and pain. Well, that frustration ends today. Introducing our How to Get More Ice Time program, the amazing one-of-a-kind program for youth and teenage hockey players that helps them get what they want most, more playing time and more opportunities. And today, exclusive offer, we're selling this thing for only $9. $9. It's a no-brainer. But you got to act now, because this offer won't last. And if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. So go to warriorconfidence.com. That's warriorconfidence.com, or simply click on the link in the description box. Buy the program today and help your child get what they want most, more ice time. And I have people ask all the time, hey, man, I want to start a podcast. How do you do that? That's where you just got to start. And I guarantee the first 1, 2, 3, 400, whatever, are probably not going to be very good. But you've got to keep battling through. And this is episode number 372, and I'm still messing up, right? But it's just a learning experience. There's an old saying, he with few failures is he who hasn't lived. So fail and fail often. So many failures in my life, what I mentioned as a kid. Well, then, in the business world, started a business. Now, if you can see over my shoulder here, those are my exercise videos. See them? Boop. The first one, we filmed that baby in 1999, actually January 9th, 1999. I like numbers, 1999. And called Kick to Get Fit, baby. Yeah. It was, I started playing the doggone thing. And I guess about a year and a half in, gotten everything set up. We're going to record, pick the date. And this thing called Tybo came out. You guys remember Tybo? Oh, Billy Blanks. And I've met Billy several times. Real good guy. I like him a lot. I didn't know him way back then, though. And all I knew was like, oh, my gosh, this guy's going to steal my thunder here, baby. And I thought, you know what? That's okay. We're going to roll with this thing. I'm going to ride this wave. He's spending all that money out in Hollywood, and nobody knows who the heck Rich Grogan is in Southern Illinois, is where I lived at the time. We're going to make it work. Well, I found out that it's a little more than that. Now, I did everything I could. I traveled all over to the trade shows, the talk shows, working woman survival shows, everything I possibly could. But just about everybody on the planet had already bought Tybo, and they'd never heard of this Kick to Get Fit or this Rich Grogan guy. So it was tough. It was so tough, and I'd spent so much money on the production of the video. Oh, there we go. Sliding out of my chair here. And the traveling around promoting it, that I had refinanced, remortgaged my house, maxed out all my credit cards, got a loan, maxed it out, and no money coming in. Not good. Not good at all. And that led to our first bankruptcy. So there was a setback. So what did I do? Well, 2 years later, dug, battled, scrapped, clawed, got some sponsors, and filmed 3 more videos. Now, the one, you see the kids one there, Kick to Get Fit Junior for kids, actually that one really, really took off because I was going to PE conferences now. I'd become a PE teacher in the meantime, and that one really, really took off. We converted to DVD, and it did really well. I recouped all the lost money on those 3. The first one was a boy, oh boy. But anyway, my whole point of telling you all that is there's going to be failures. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be times when you think, man, I should have listened. Man, I shouldn't have done this. But I'm telling you, if you know in your heart you're doing the right thing, you know that, man, God put a dream not only in your mind, but in your heart. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to work your butt off for it. And one of the most, it used to be frustrating, but now it's, I guess, disturbing or just hurtful for me, for the person, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about here, is I'll run into somebody that I haven't seen for years. especially if get out traveling, doing speeches and presentations and things. And I'll say, hey, man, how you doing? And oh, about the same. I said, okay. Well, hey, last time I saw you, which has been years, you told me you're going to start that business. You told me you're going to quit your job. You told me you're going to write that book. How's it going? Oh, well, I haven't quite started yet. I'm like, okay, well, what are you waiting on? And more times than not, this is what I hear. Well, I'm just waiting on God to point me in the right direction and tell me what to do. And I said, okay, well, yes, definitely put your faith in God, because God put the dream in your heart and the vision in your mind and gave you the gifts. I said, but what are you doing? What are you specifically doing? What steps have you taken? Well, I'm just waiting for God. Well, here's the thing. God may have put it in your heart, may have given you the vision in your mind, but you've got to show him how committed you are and how much you want it by battling through and putting forth the effort and doing the work. And I've posted countless times on my social media channels. And if you're not following Real Rich Grogan across all social media platforms, check that out. And, of course, check out all the videos on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, all those things. And we're on LinkedIn as well. So anyway, Truth Social, on them all. But I'll post a picture of a guy leaning on a shovel. And it'll say, God may have gave you the shovel, and he may have even gave you the field, but he ain't digging the hole. You got to do something. And we do. And that's where we get hung up. There's a thing called the gap. And the gap is like, we're here. Our destination, our dream, our goal, our passion, what we want to achieve is over here. And then there's a gap in between. We got to bridge from where we are to that gap. Now, we can have mentors and leaders and guides, people that have been through it before, help get us over that gap, help us build that bridge. But we're going to have to put in the work. It ain't going to be done for you. That's just the reality of things. And I know that's probably a right hook. Everybody always wants the shortcut, the easy, the secret to success. Man, tell me your secret. Well, it's a secret that I share in every program I've ever written, any class I've ever taught, any speech I've ever given. And that secret is, you ready for this? Ready for this? Hard work, respect, wisdom. And wisdom is continuously seeking knowledge, continuously willing to learn. Yeah. The core fundamentals. And probably the biggest one that I overlooked for years upon years upon years. And I used to be ashamed to talk about this, but it's the reality. It's the truth. And if I can share some of my, not only goof ups, but things that I'm not very proud of, maybe, letting you know, it's okay. We all screw up. We've all got a past. No one's perfect. Not at all. And the fact is, sometimes I am breached my integrity. And the reason, I never thought of it as that. I just thought, well, you got to do what you got to do. It's horrible. Horrible. I'm ashamed to even talk about that. But it's the reality of things. Back in the early 20s and even early 30s, when things weren't going right, I was failing at every turn. Like I said, 2 bankruptcies, a house foreclosure, cars repossessed. Everything I did just failed, man. And I started thinking, why am I doing this? I should just give up. Richie, you're not smart enough, would play in my head from a kid, right? Well, I didn't have my core values in place. And I call my core values are my pillars. And when I put those pillars in place, baby, I don't care what the thought, the temptation, or what the circumstance was. I'm not breaching them. They were solid. They were firm. Now, I'd toe that line quite a bit. And sometimes I would forget when I first started putting them in place. But once I made them a solid foundational part and piece of who I am, not anymore, man. It ain't worth it. Because if you lie to yourself, you can't be true, you can't be honest, you can't be respectful to yourself, man, there's no way you can be that to others. It all has to start inside. That's something we've talked about on countless other podcasts. What are my core 4? I call them. Well, that's not in my notes here, but I'll definitely talk about them. The core 4, honor, integrity, discipline, respect. There it is. So even back at the Martial Arts Academy, when people would come in, we always went out of our way to do everything we can to make the greatest possible experience. But we were not going to breach our core 4, honor, integrity, discipline, respect. Meaning no kid is getting a belt. They're going to earn the uniform, earn the belt, earn the stripes, earn the promotion. Because nothing in life is truly free. You got to work your butt off to earn it. And by giving somebody something they didn't earn, giving them a trophy or a grade or a belt or a uniform or false praise, man, in the end, you're hurting them. You are not helping in any way, shape, or form. Because if we're not teaching them at a young age how to overcome, how to battle through, how to succeed, how to stand on their own 2 feet, if they can't learn to overcome small, younger kid, even teenage problems, now that doesn't mean we don't help them. But we sure as heck don't continue to spoon feed them. And that was one of the things I would always mention at the Martial Arts Academy when kids would say, I'd say, hey, where's your training log sheet? It's maybe a 10-year-old. And they'd say, oh, well, my mom forgot it. Like, all right. I said, does your mom go to school with you and feed you at lunchtime? Well, no. Well, who does it? Well, I feed myself. Does your mom still dress you? No. Who does it? I do it myself. Oh, so you're responsible? Yeah. I said, then that training log sheet is your responsibility. Oh, well, yeah, but mom said she would do it. And I said, okay. I'll turn to the mom. Mom, where you at? Hey, mom, I want you to do this for me if you would, please. I'm okay. Yeah, what's up? And I said, I want you to be sure to remember his training log sheet. And I need you to go to school with him tomorrow and make sure you sit by him at lunch and spoon feed him too, because apparently he's not responsible enough for that. And the mom said, oh, really? I'm like, I don't know. I turn back to the kid. Do we need to do that? No, mom, you can't go to school. Obviously, to embarrass him to death, right? So that's a way of taking responsibility. So it kind of drifted off the path there a little bit. But you get what I'm getting at here, right? So number one, we've got to identify those common sources of self-doubt. What are they, and what do we need to do to remove them? So I always like the example of, if we see a weed in the garden, we just can't let that weed grow, man. It'll suffocate everything in that garden, right? We got to dig that thing out. So any limiting beliefs, self-doubt, anything that's holding you back in your mind, dig it out. And I'm telling you, the best way, ready for this? Take a pen, there you are, paper, write it down, look at it, cross it off. So an example would be, Richie, you aren't good enough. All right, so I'm looking at it. Richie, you aren't good enough. Top of my notes. Is that true? No, absolutely not. So now I'm going to scribble it out. I am good enough. Yeah. So I've plucked that weed out of the middle garden. Now, does that mean that weed will never come back? No. Next time you have a setback or failure or something goes wrong, Richie, you're not good enough. Yes, I am. Do that as often as you need to. So that's number one. We got to identify the problem. Number two, and these are just 4, and they're not in any particular order, but it's just 4 points that I think that have helped me in the past that'll also help you. We got to practice strategies to not only remove the self-doubt like we just did, but to replace those thoughts with positive thoughts, with aspirations. Now, once again, you're not lying to yourself when you say, I'm a winner, I'm a champion, I'm a hero, I'm a leader, I'm a success. All you're doing is future planning. Yeah, you're planting that in your mind, knowing that when you plant a seed, it doesn't grow immediately. The very next day, you don't have those strawberries. It's going to take a little bit of time. But you continue to remind yourself. You continue to work toward it. You continue to water it, so to speak. You continue to revisit it. That's how it grows, man. That's how you get from the gap over the bridge. But you got to build the doggone bridge first, right? To get to the other side. So it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But a journey of 1,000 miles, what's that start with? You got it. One step. One small step. And then, of course, you got to take the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And you get this thing called momentum going. You start believing in it. You start feeling good. And then what generally happens, you're rolling, you're trugging along. I got this. Then, bam, out of nowhere, a right hook of reality drops you. You slide all the way back down. The bridge collapses. Something happens. You're like, oh, my gosh. Well, now comes the test. What are you going to do? Well, I tried. I'm done. Unfortunately, that's what the majority of people do. They give it one half-hearted effort, or maybe you put a lot into it, and it just doesn't work, and you just give up. Well, if you're committed, you're determined, this is what you truly want, this is what God placed in your heart, and the vision he put in your mind, you're going to get back up, and you're going to find another round. You're going to find another way. Now, here's the thing. The only time you fail completely is when you give up and quit. Now, you're going to have plenty of failures. You are going to fail a lot. It's just all part of it. But that's what separates you from everybody else out there. You're going to fail at a great book by John Maxwell called Failing Forward. You're going to continue getting back up. You're making strides. You're making progress. And every time, well, when I was bankrupt, both times, and then house foreclosure and everything else, I wasn't starting from scratch. I mean, technically I was, but I'd had the knowledge and experience. So I didn't repeat and make the same mistakes. I decided to make different ones, new ones. But I had learned along the way there. And that's the difference between somebody who's never tried, never done anything, and never failed. They're always starting from the very beginning because they've never put themselves out there. So kind of have practical strategies on how we're going to do it, what we're going to do, kind of a roadmap, a game plan. And a lot of times the reason I failed so much is because I was just going a gazillion miles an hour, but didn't use a lot of this thing up here. Matter of fact, I didn't even know I could read until 2012. I mean, I guess I could. Somehow got a degree in kinesiology and taught PE for 11 years. But I had never read like a self-help book. I never read a business book, an entrepreneurial book. I never attended a conference. So that's like I say, I didn't know I could read until roughly 2012. And then I found out, I started surrounding myself with a different group of people, and they all had one thing in common. Regardless what they knew and how successful they were all continuing to self-educate. I don't even know if I had ever heard that word before. That's what they were doing. And that's how they continued to move forward and get better and better, learn more. Then they had their share of setbacks and failures as well. But you're never starting over from scratch. You're starting over from your last point, wherever you got to before you failed. I always like to say confidence. Kids would come in for martial arts classes, or when I work with athletes, maybe their confidence level is down here. It's in the dumps. Well, my goal is to build it up gradually. And here's the deal. They're going to have setbacks. They're going to have failures. But that confidence level is never going to go back to where it initially was because we've built a foundation. We've continued to build it up. That belief that they are strong enough, good enough, powerful enough, if they're willing to put in the work, right? Yeah. So that's strategies. That's steps we have to take. And number 3, you got to count on, I guess it all ties in together. Number 3 is build on your previous successes, regardless how many times you failed. So those successes, as I'm talking about, it's kind of like building blocks, like building that confidence. It's never going to go back down to where it initially was. Once you've learned how to count to 10, then you just build from there. As a kid, when you learn the ABCs, now you've learned all the ABCs. Now you learn how to spell your name. You learn how to spell words. You learn how to make sentences. You learn how to make paragraphs. You build on that. Well, in hockey, first thing, you got to learn to get on the ice and keep your ankles from being the ankle benders, right? Try and steady, moving forward. And when I first started back in 1974, just 2 or 3 years ago, I remember they duct taped, the old duct tape, my ankles up to my knees and had me pushing a chair around. Yeah, that was the way to keep those ankles straight and build those legs up. Sort of like when you first learn to walk. You're flopping and falling all over the place or feeding yourself. But you continue to build. Hockey players continue to build. Then we started working on skating backwards. Next thing you know, we're doing crossovers. Next thing, we're stick handling. Holy cow. Then shooting the puck. Yeah. All those fun things. Well, whatever you're going through in your life, it took those progressionary steps. So you want to build on your previous successes and learn from them. And once again, doesn't mean you're not going to have setbacks or failures. They're going to happen. That's something nobody ever told me. Or maybe they did and I just flat out didn't listen. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm smarter. I got this. I don't know why I ever thought that. It was just a way of having my ego was out of control to cover up for my insecurities. And that's the honest to goodness truth. Now, when you're in your 20s and 30s, holy smokes. And I just had a birthday recently. I turned, you ready for this? I was 35. And then I turned 45. 35, 45. What are you talking about? I'm actually 54, but that's always tell people, hey, no, I'm 35 inverted. I'm 45 inverted. All right. Bad dad joke, but there you go. So I'm actually 54 now. And I've probably learned more in the past, oh my gosh, 10, 15 years, and I had my whole life. Well, not my whole life. You obviously learn a lot from 0 to 10, and then something happens. You just stop learning, especially after your teenage years, right? If you choose to just shut her down. I know everything. What am I going to learn? What am I going to learn from reading a book? Believe it or not, those are some of the horrible things I would say. So number 3 is continue to build on that success, especially when you have failures. Remember, I have accomplished stuff in the past. And I'm going to use that motivation. I'm going to use that empowerment. I'm going to use that I can't be all bad to continue moving forward, continue building that bridge, continue getting to the other side. And number 4 is how do we maintain it? We got to maintain not only our confidence, we got to maintain that belief, because it's true. Every time you have a setback, every time you have a failure, every time you have something go wrong, then it can take a chunk out of your confidence. You can start doubting yourself. That's why we have to follow the other 3 steps, right? Identify it, and then what can we do, the strategies and the tips to continue moving forward, and then the success or previous success to continue, and then tips and strategies for continuing that confidence, that momentum. I always like to use the example of pushing a car. If you've ever had to push a car before, you know getting that doggone thing going is the hardest thing, because the law of inertia, once an item's at rest, it what? Tends to stay at rest. Once an item's in motion, it tends to stay in motion. We got to get it going. But getting it going is hard as can be. You exert almost more energy getting it going than you do anything else. Once you get it going, it's a heck of a lot easier. And if you've got help, now it's even easier than that. So that's a suggestion as well. Surround yourself with other like-minded individuals, others that they may not have the exact same goals as you have, but they are. Grab a drink of tea. They are, there we go, are goal-oriented, meaning they know how to plan goals. They know that I'm on this side. I want to get over that bridge. I want to get over that gap, and I want to get to my level of success. And, of course, once you get there, the journey, the party's not over. You'll find, oh, well, I've accomplished a lot, but now I've got another goal. I've got another vision. I've got another step. I know I can do more. Now, will that challenge be easier or harder? Well, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder. If it wasn't harder, it wouldn't be a challenge. But you've got the knowledge, you got the wisdom based on your previous successes. So you keep moving forward. Well, I make it sound so easy, don't I? Yeah. But the reality is, once again, nothing is easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But what separates you right there, you from everyone else, is you are willing to do what others aren't willing to do. That's why you will achieve the success that others, they can only dream about, because they're not willing to put in the work. And that's my whole goal with everything I do with the podcast, when I'm working with athletes and leaders. And I had somebody recently tell me, you need to stay in your lane. Well, that's because I was talking about a few other things, got a little political. But my whole thing is I am building leaders. Why? Not only current leaders, but future leaders. Because I want the world to be a better, safer, happier, healthier, wealthier place to live for my kids. And you can do that too. That may not be your dream and your goal, but you set the example. Be the best 2.0 version of yourself. Because, man, regardless if you notice it or think it or not, you are a mentor and you are a leader to somebody. Somebody's looking up to you. And unfortunately, you also got people on the other side that are counting on you to fail. So don't give them the satisfaction by giving up. Continue to push forward to be your absolute very, very best. Yes, that's warrior confidence. That's unleashing your inner warrior. That's igniting that inner warrior spirit to be who you're born to be. Good, good, good? All right. Well, good stuff, man. Oh, I love doing these. I really, really do. So quick recap. 1, got to identify the problem. Dig that thing up, whatever that weed is. Get rid of it. Write it down like we showed the example. Number 2, practical strategies for not only getting rid of those doubts, but turning those doubts into success and those failures into success. And here's the thing for you. A champion is not someone who's never failed before. A champion is someone who's failed again and again and again and again, but refuses to give up. They continue to get back up each and every time. That's what a champion is. They have failed over and over again. They don't give up. They keep battling through. That's why they're a champion. And number 3, use your successes from the past to continue to build and move you forward, knowing, man, I got to hear. This is just the beginning, baby. I'm going to keep going. And number 4, man, those strategies, those tips for continuing. And I'm telling you, the biggest tip is surround yourself with like-minded people. Listen to podcasts like this. And by the way, if you found value in this, please kindly share it with someone else. Make sure you like and subscribe. And on YouTube there, please leave comments. Let me know. Did you get a lot out of this? Are you going to apply these steps we talked about? Let me know where you're at. You can let me know where in the country or if you're in a different country, but I'm talking where let me know where you're at in your journey. You're just starting off. You've been at it before. You've failed. You've had bankruptcies. You've had struggles. And if you've overcome one struggle, which we all have, we're all, if you're watching or listening to this, you've somehow made enough money to buy an iPhone or a phone of some kind, or you're listening. So you've somehow achieve that success, right? Of course, talking to people, athletes and leaders and coaches, you want to get to that next level. And we all do. But it's not going to happen just by wishing, hoping. You got to put in the work to get her done. But anyway, kindly share this with somebody that you know could benefit. And please, like I said, leave those comments and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified of every new video and podcast that's coming out. And follow on all the social media channels. It's at symbol thing, Real Rich Grogan across all channels. And of course, our website, warriorconfidence.com. warriorconfidence.com. Make sure you get over there and check that out. You fill out for our lead form there. You can get, 5 essential tips to get more ice time is one of the forms. And then we've got our hockey program. Oh my goodness. Is it, well, of course, I think it's fantastic. It's called How to Get More Ice Time. And it's for youth and teenage hockey players to help them achieve what they want most. Ice time, leadership roles. And it goes over kind of three pillars, if you will, there. Respect, work ethic, communication, leadership skills. Boom. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, folks. Wait, thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy day. I know that time is the most sacred commodity on the planet. And the fact that you spent time with me today touches my heart. It really, really does. And I am truly grateful. And that's why I do these things. And that's why this is my gift. This is my talent. God put it in my heart. He gave me the gift of gab and talk. And then he put the vision in my mind, but also empowered me to, hey, you need to learn more. So start reading books, start attending conferences, start listening to webinars and other podcasts to continue learning, growing. So I have something to share to you. So I'm blessed and I'm grateful. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. All right, folks. I love you. God loves you. Please share that love with the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best. Yeah. And I promise you'll be your very best. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. Can't wait to chat with you again real soon. And I can't wait to read your comments. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for being a part of the Warrior Confidence Unleashed podcast. I am truly grateful for your time. If you found value in this message, please kindly share it with someone else who could also benefit from it, especially teenagers and adult athletes and leaders who are serious about getting noticed, getting more playing time, and leadership roles. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share your comments with us. And we truly appreciate your 5-star reviews, as that helps spread the message even further. Stay connected with us throughout the week on all social media platforms at Real Rich Grogan. And visit our website at warriorconfidence.com for access to all our programs and books. The links are in the description box. Thank you again for your time, and I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day. God bless. I want to mention this amazing nutritional company that I've partnered with called Live Pure. And I've been sampling their products for the past 12 months, and I feel 100% confident giving Live Pure my full endorsement. That's why I'm sharing it with you now. My personal nutrition, health, wellness, weight loss, and muscle tone have all improved dramatically. And all the products are third-party lab tested, 100% clean, pure, and natural. They're a Christian-based company with over 17 years of improving lives. So check out the link in the description box to learn more and to get preferred partner pricing.